the recursion challenge, or Recursive JS. For this, we have a task that almost demands that we do some recursive programming. Recursive programming, we don't use it much in UI, but we do use it sometimes. So it's very handy to know, especially as you get better and better at JavaScript. Okay, so we have this block of code here, and each element has a class. Could be the parent, the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, and that's all displayed over here as well. We don't really need anything in there other than to know that the first part is a section, and we can get started. So first we're going to console log our end result, which is going to be to create a function that accepts an element, and then it logs out the class of that element and each of its children. Okay, so they have this example here. We'll stick with the name, traverse, and the element will be document, spell it right, document dot query selector, and we're going to grab that section. There's not really any reason to get it by parent, but we could do that too. Doesn't really matter. So we have this. It's screaming because, hey, we don't have that function. So let's go make it. Function traverse. We're going to accept the element, and we are going to do something. So it should return undefined here. If it ever kicks in, I spelled traverse wrong. There we go. What is going on? Document. Oh, I am just spelling everything wrong. There we go. Bad way to start this video. There we go. Undefined. That's what we want. So right now it's returning void because we aren't returning anything. So we can get started. The first thing we want to do is grab onto that parent item. And in fact, we're going to create an array here, so we may as well just go and const classes equals an array. And inside of that array, we are just going to go and grab all of the elements class list like this. Okay, so that's step one. In fact, we can just go ahead and return that directly, classes like this, and we should get parent. Brilliant. Okay. From there, we can start doing stuff. An easy way to get this done would be a loop. So let I equal 0 equal 0. Thank you very much. I is less than the length of something. What are we searching for? It's going to be the children on this element. And so we target it just like that. Element.children.length. Brilliant. Next to that, we iterate it after each one, I++, and we are off to the races. Inside of here, we are going to start our recursion. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of our child classes. Whatever they are, we're going to get them, and we're going to do it by traversing the current element, which is element.children, like this, and it is I. We haven't done anything with this, so nothing is showing up over here yet, but we can child classes, if I can spell. Seriously, not doing well with the spelling, but keep going. For each, like this, and for each child, we are going to push that onto classes. So classes.push child. There we go. That should show up as 8, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. We have it, and it works. A little bit messy with this loop. If you're a fan of functional programming, you probably aren't a fan of loops. Functional programming doesn't really like them. I have no problems, but let's go and clean it up a little bit. So we'll start by copying this, pasting it down so that we still have it, And instead of this iterating loop like this that iterates over an index, let's just go and get the child of element.children. Oh, with a dot in there, sorry, children. There we go. And now everything should work if I actually update this. So child, and yeah, everything is back to normal. We have that 8. Excellent. We do have 2 child variables in here, but they don't interfere because of scoping. We could go and change this. Doesn't matter because we're going to keep working. So copy, comment, paste it down here. Good. Now from here, we have a new one, okay? So let's clean it up a little bit. Instead of this for loop, maybe we use a for each. And the question becomes, what do we do for each on? Because we don't really have a way to do that. Element children, if we go and grab this and console log it, console log is element children, it will cycle through, and you'll see it gives us this HTML collection, which is not super. If we open up the actual console, you'll see that it doesn't really have anything, okay? Even the 2 down here, they're in there, but even on the prototype chain, there's not a lot going on here, okay? It is an iterator, and we can get items by index and length, but other than that, there's nothing. So we need to change that, okay? The first step would be to grab it by values, okay? So instead we can cut this out. We can go object.values is all that good stuff. And that should give us, yeah, these values. There's a comma right there. So that's a good start. We can use this in further work. Cut this out. We don't need the console log anymore. And now we can change this. So down here for each, just like this. And again, we're going to grab that child and do something with it, okay? So we can take all of this stuff inside of here, just bump it right up, and everything should just work, which it does. It'll bump up again. We still have 8. So now we've removed that loop. We're more in a functional programming context. We can still clean this up though. There's still stuff that we can do. We can grab this, copy it, comment, keep going, paste it down here. And if we start to look at this for what it is, then you'll notice that we're doing this weird push thing, and we're grabbing this child classes thing. Well, we don't really need that. We just need to put whatever is returned from traverse back onto classes. So instead we could comment these out and go with something like this. We can change this to a let so that we can update it, and we go classes equals classes.concat, which will join 2 separate things together. Right now it's not doing anything, so we don't have that. But inside of here, we can use that traverse child. So we just go and grab it, paste it in, and once it cycles, we get 8. Brilliant. We're going to keep going. There's more to be done here. More. Okay? So copy it, paste it down, just like this. We can reduce this further because now, when you look at it, we have this stuff, and we don't really, right? We're jumping around by putting it on the classes and doing some stuff. We can start to reduce this, okay? So if we take this and put it down here so we have some room to work, we can just take this whole thing and map it to traverse child. So instead of this, we grab this little bit here, pull all of this out and paste the new thing in. That's not going to do anything because we haven't returned it. But if we go map and console log that so that we can see it, console log and we're going to see that it boosts it. Now, what we're getting is an array of arrays. That's not quite what we want. In fact, we could change this by going from map to flatMap. And that is going to change it into just this standard array of arrays. We're seeing it funny because we are iterating over everything right now. But if we grab this and move up here, we can just add a comma and then ... paste. And you'll notice that we get 8. Now, because we're here, we can do some cleanup. We don't actually need this line anymore. We can just return directly. Return, okay? So we are building it up. Now, here's where things get really, really interesting, okay? So we've cut this down quite a bit. We've gone through some loops down to a more functional programming model, and then all the way to what is effectively nothing, okay? We have 6 lines of code in here. The really interesting thing to me is that we don't actually need to traverse, okay? So just for a second, I'm going to comment this out and grab this because I want to use it again. Copy. So right below it, I'm going to paste in some code. I'm going to call it L equals that section, okay? Now, from here, we can start to build things up. And the way that we build them up is we just do a search. So console log, I'm going to clear this out so that it's nice and clean. Console log, everything that is underneath the element and has a class. Okay, everything that is underneath the element and has a class. So L dot query selector, could have just copy and pasted that. And everything that is under the element and has a class. And once it bounces back, we're going to see 1. That's because silly old me, I want to get everything and not just the one thing. So it's going to jump around and it's going to give me this node list with all of these different elements. And all these different elements are everything that is under the parent, a child or a grandchild or whatever, under the parent, okay? We can extend that out and make it really, really ugly by doing a spread because it's a node list. So we pop it out and we get this array of ugliness, okay? But from here, we have the tools. So we can map over this, and we're going to map over the element. Let's just go E for element. And from there, we're going to return e.classList. Now it's screaming bloody murder. What is it doing? Map expected. Do I have enough? 1, 2. What am I missing? Nope, I'm still missing something. 2 seconds while I figure it out. So, oh, I totally forgot the dot. Look at me. There it is. So now we have this array of DOM token list. Well, we can figure that out, okay, by spreading this. And it's going to give us this array of arrays again. Well, we figured that out before, right? Up here we used flatMap. So flatMap, just like this, gives us this array. Now all we have to do is concatenate this to our original parent, and we should be gold, right? So let's copy and paste this. Copy, put it down here. I'm going to grab all of this good stuff inside of the console log. Cut. We don't need any of this anymore, but we do need to turn this back on. And right behind here, just paste it in. Oh, can't find element. There we go. And just like that, we have all of our 8. So what have we done? We've done a bunch of stuff. We started by creating a recursive function that used an old style loop. From there, we went to a new style loop, also using that recursive function, and reduced it down further by using a for each, making it more functional, cleaning that for each up a little bit and using concat instead of push. And then from there, we went even further and just collapsed it all down to a single return so that we weren't creating unnecessary variables. You can debate whether this is clean code or not, but for now this works. And then finally, we did something pretty magical. We built this function that doesn't require recursion at all. So sometimes we get in our head that we need to recurse down into something, but there are tools that will allow us to just grab all those elements. I could have grabbed from document and grabbed anything with a class, and that would have started down the chain. But remember, the object was to get anything from a parent down, not the document down, okay? So that is recursion in a very short amount of time. Definitely hit me up if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you later.